So, hi, hello, and welcome back, my dear friends. Today we have Skye along with us, who is from the US, and she has been a student here in France for almost 3 years. And in this video, we'll hear her how France has been treating her as a student. So, hi, Skye, how are you?
I'm good, Sharif. How are you doing?
Amazing, and thank you for coming along with us on video today.
No worries.
Okay, so the first question to you, Skye, is where are you from and which university are you in?
So I'm from the United States, as Sharif mentioned. I am from the state of Colorado, and I am currently at the school IESEG in Lille, France.
Okay. And the second question to you is how was your overall experience at IESEG?
It was an interesting experience. Personally speaking, the best part by far was the international community and the friends I did make here.
Okay.
But in terms of everything else, it was interesting.
Okay. So the third question, what were your major struggles while moving to France?
I would have to say the major struggles included everything along the administration side. What I mean by that is there's a lot they don't tell you coming into the country. So, for example, as soon as you get into the country, you have less than 90 days to register with OFI. If you don't register with OFI, you can't get health care, or you can't get the insurance that helps with it.
Okay.
They don't really tell you much about the renewal process. You don't get a whole lot of help on that back end.
Okay.
In the housing situation, everyone's a student, so housing is usually gone 2 to 3 months in advance, so you're kind of left with slim pickings. So thinking I was prepared, and in the end really not being prepared is what really was the biggest struggle.
Okay. The next question is what is something that you will advise the students who are upcoming soon into France?
I would say, one, reach out to your international department, just so that way they might have somewhat of an understanding. If not, my biggest advice would be to find that international community.
Okay.
The reason I say this is France was a lot less welcoming than I had thought the first time around.
Okay.
And it was actually one of the hardest parts because we all come here wanting to meet French friends. However, that's not necessarily the reality of things.
Okay.
It's the international community and the friends that I made within that made me love it here and actually want to stay abroad and pursue a life outside of the US.
Okay.
So the biggest advice is definitely find your international community, because they will keep you sane through some of the toughest moments you have here. Regardless of nationality, it would be awesome if we all had a really good French friend, but in reality, we all have different cultures and they are not as open to accepting new people as some of these other countries. When I mean that, my best friends I've made here, they're from Ukraine, Russia, Malaysia, China. One even lived in Africa for a while, India now. Just really having that ability we all came here to expand our horizons. So being able to really get to understand these people will only make you stronger into who you are as a person, but they will also give you a much better appreciation of the life of an immigrant and what the rest of the world has to offer.
Okay. They are actually valuable words that I think students will have to remember while coming to France. And proceeding with the next question, Skye. Few hacks you would like to tell the students?
One hack is whatever country you go to, whether it's France, England, Germany, try to learn the language. Learning the language goes a huge way and it makes people appreciate you that much more and them wanting to even help you because it shows that you respect their culture and who they are. So definitely learning a little bit of the language, just to say please, thank you, where is this? Another thing I would say is looking for events that happen in your city. So for example, there is a page on Instagram called Lille Edit, and it tells you every week what is happening in the city for either really cheap or for it might be concerts, it might be little workshops. This week it was a ping pong tournament, different like free events that you can go to, and it also is able to help you kind of open up your community a little bit more.
Moving to the next question. How was your life as student here in France?
It was very complicated. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie either to the rest of you guys. I am an older student. I'm not very young like a lot of them. I don't go to clubs. I don't drink, and I don't party with everyone. I'm a homebody. My idea of as a party is going to be with 2 or 3 friends and like a drink or something we talk about. But in terms of student life, it was very hard because I didn't want to do what 95% of the other students do. If you guys are partiers, have fun, be responsible. But for the most part, it was very complicated because it felt like I was really alone in a lot of things. Until I met my international community, where I realized that I'm not so alone. We all just have different interests. It was hard in the sense that, you know, the work ethics were different compared to the nationalities. I tended to see that depending on, it's not all of them, but a good portion of the French did not work as hard as the international students. We all came here and we all want to make an image for ourselves and prove ourselves compared to those who already have an image here. So kind of, I would say it was very complicated as a student, wanting to really show that I belonged.
Okay. So I think in your case as well, I think it's very important to have friends by your side so that you don't feel lonely over here, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
For sure.
Okay. I think in my personal opinion as well, I think it's a very important fact, as Skye has highlighted. If you are alone by yourself, it's going to be a very different life that you're going to lead. As same as Skye, I too don't go for any sort of parties or so and so. I think it's very important that you have people around you to not to feel lonely. So yeah, proceeding to the next question. What are the positives of being a student in France?
I think there could be, although I'm kind of more on the pessimistic side of things, I would say there are still quite a few benefits, especially if you do like to drink, if you do like to go partying. There's a lot of clubs, especially here in France. My goodness, there's a lot. I would also say that, you know, with the student card, you tend to get, I don't know if it's about the other countries, but I know for France, in particular, the student card will give you a lot of access to different museums. So I know, since I'm an old student, I didn't get this possibility, but the younger students under 25, they got free entry to the Louvre in Paris.
Yes, even I did.
You get a lot of free entry in museums. I think it's Musée d'Orsay, and there's all kinds of museums that you can
even Arc
visit.
de Triomphe, we got to go up free.
Okay, hold on. But in general, like, I would say the biggest benefit is being able to experience a culture that's not your own for a discounted price, to say, or almost free. There's also, you know, if you really need it, there's certain food banks that can really help a student. There's certain discounts for transportation. So even though it is somewhat pricier here compared to your guys' countries, it's still, they still try to make it affordable and fun for students. Even our schools, for example, they host different event nights. I think there's a gala night coming up soon. But it really is up to the individual's interests and what you kind of make of it. But if you are an art person, you like any museum, that is your biggest advantage, I would say, for sure. And student discounts on meals. They have a lot of restaurants who give a lot of discounts on meals.
Okay, so on the contrary, what could be the negatives of being a student in France?
See, this is where my negative side kicks in just a little bit. I would have to say the negatives to being in France as a student. Not all of the French are as accepting as they like to say they are. They hear an accent, even if you try to speak in French, and they switch to English because you don't know true French. You could be speaking French for years like I have, but they hear one one wrong fault in your language, and they're like, she doesn't know French. And it's very hard. Finding internships was impossible here because, frankly, they would rather have someone who is 100% French with 5% English compared to someone who has 100% English and 50 to 60% French. So the hardest part has been not being French.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
Especially if you guys end up not making those French friends where you can
Okay.
actually ask your questions and really get to know the people better.
Okay.
It's taken me a couple years to kind of really find my people in France to where I feel comfortable to ask questions and why it's so different from our countries.
Okay.
That would be a negative. And also, there wasn't as much help given
Okay.
in the sense of where you think it should be given.
Okay.
Week. But that would be my biggest thing I would have to say.
Okay. Okay. So that's all from my end, and thank you, Skye, for agreeing to be on our podcast
Of
in
course.
the Sheriffs, and you're always welcome, and all the best for your proceedings in your life, and thank you so much again. And so until the next content, it's your Nawaz Sheriff. Bye bye.